There's one thing you're sure to find in Davos each year: snow. But delegates of the World Economic Forum meeting this year also found snowmen. Not one or two, but 193 of them. Hello and welcome to this very special show. I'm Shweta Rajpal Kohli and we come to you from the World Economic Forum meeting in Davos, Switzerland, where India was clearly the star attraction. A business-friendly and stable government and the collapse of oil prices making the India story the talk of Davos this year.
This is an opportunity for governments and countries to present their point of view, and that's my primary job. I'm meeting representatives and ministers of various governments. I'm also going to be meeting various potential investors in India.
Right.
There are also a large number of speaking assignments that I have here, which is to make public what's happening in India.
Right.
And I do see that there is a lot of enthusiasm about what's happening in India. And of course, this is a very important opportunity to make their point of view clear.
I think it's a very bright, sunny morning that has received the Indian delegation led by Finance Minister Shri Arun Jaitley. And I was scanning through the list of participants. I found probably next to the US, we would have the largest delegation this time around.
Arun Jaitley, a lot of the reason for the renewed optimism is that there's a new government in place. And there are two aspects to this. One, the government is saying it is going to do a lot of the steps that people feel are required, the reforms that are necessary, the focus on governance, the focus on implementation. And also because this is a government that actually does have the mandate, certainly in the lower house, not so much in the upper house, to be able to get a lot of its agenda through. How confident are you that you will be able to push through all the steps that you think need to be taken? And do you agree with what Professor Rubini said, that India does need serious, meaningful reforms in the next few years?
I've been explaining where we erred. Instead of concentrating on high growth rates, instead of concentrating on reforms required for high growth rates, we went into this notional debate of what is pro-poor and pro-rich and so on. And therefore, we went into the symbolism of all that. So instead of increasing productivity in India, which would bring you higher growth rate, we concentrated only on distribution. And that's, I think, how the last 10 years got lost out. Once those last 10 years got lost out, I think history never provides you with these opportunities over and over again. But by a curious set of circumstances, this opportunity has come back to us. This is now coupled with the global factors. The oil prices is one important factor which goes to our advantage. The fact that economies which are competing with us to attract that investment internationally are not exactly doing very well. Okay. So with these all circumstances favoring us, I think we just have to take the right turns and not repeat what happened in the last 10 years. If we continue to do that, and the government is fairly clear, we are determined to do that, I think it's reasonably possible for us to go back to our actual capacity of a high growth rate.
Delegates who came here at the World Economic Forum say they are very closely watching President Obama's visit to India, given that India and America seem to be the only two bright spots in the world economy, waiting to see what this big visit has in store for both the countries.
There is an admission now by countries across the world that India is important. Very different from where it was about a year ago. But don't expect one big visit to change stuff on the ground. I see this as a big positive, but not something that I think is going to be a watershed event.
I think this is the only time when there's a sitting president, US president, who's been here or been to India for the second time in his term. So yes, the India-US relationships, as we know, over the last couple of years are getting closer. It'll be interesting to hear what's there on the platter this time. And it's also a tremendous show both of strength and opportunity. I think that's the biggest story.
I think there's a lot to learn from India. I think from the United States. I think in terms of defense, technology, manufacturing, I think the base of India can be very strong to make a win-win for the US and for India. And I think this visit is remarkable. We are looking forward to it.
Your thoughts for what you think should be on the agenda right now in Indo-US relations? And what is it that you think President Obama should keep in mind?
We all remember a few years ago, President Obama said he wanted to pivot to Asia. but he didn't do as much in Asia as he probably intended to do. And I now believe he wants to spend much more time in Asia, and particularly in China and India. And so he really wants to strengthen the relations between the two governments. And I think he enjoyed his meeting with Mr. Modi when he came, Prime Minister came to the United States, and wants to reciprocate. So I expect there'll be a very good exchange between the two of them.
Kendrogo?
Surely President Obama is very interested in what the Indian government is doing in its reforms, which are very directed towards foreign investment and bringing in foreign investment. So I think they'll have a lot to talk about.
If there's one word that got the maximum mention in Davos this year, it was clearly oil. The collapse in oil prices and the impact it's had on different countries, oil producers as well as oil guzzlers like India, that clearly stand to benefit from the trend. We spoke to a number of experts on where oil prices are headed, what is the bottom, and when will we see the rebound. Take a look. Abundant supplies, low demand, and it's the demand-supply dynamics that are playing out, and you're seeing oil prices crash to these levels. But have we hit a bottom in many ways? How low can we really go on oil prices?
The important thing is these low prices, $45, $50, are a temporary phenomenon. The countries like India, the important countries, it is a very good breathing zone for that.
Fantastic news. A new lease of life is what the Indian economy has got.
I completely agree, but don't get too relaxed. So prices will again go up because, again, simple economics. This year, 2015, we will see that the oil investments are going down by 15%, about $100 billion.
We have been, in many ways, India has been making the most out of it. Consumers are delighted because we are seeing our petrol and diesel prices go down. This has absolutely been fantastic in terms of the timing of it. It's come in after we've got a new government in place. So in many ways, the government has been very lucky. The government has been following a balanced approach in terms of the benefits arising out of lower prices. They've been absorbing some into their own kitty by way of increasing excise and passing on some to consumers. Is that balanced approach the right way to go forward?
I think India is lucky for two reasons. One, India oil import bill is about $110 billion.
That's right.
In general. And if the prices remain at this level, it will be halved, $50 billion. Very good for the trade balance. Second, you have a government which makes the most out of the situation by phasing out of the subsidies, especially on diesel. It's a very good step in the right direction. Therefore, I congratulate your government. It's one of the very few governments in the world who follow the picture, what's happening, and make the necessary step at the right time.
How much lower will oil prices go for oil cartel OPEC to cut output? Who better than Abdullah Al-Badri, Secretary General of the oil cartel OPEC, to tell us all about it? Mr. Al-Badri, clearly OPEC is in no mood to cut output.
First of all, OPEC is not a cartel. I object to this very, very, very strongly. I could have gone out, but now, since I am here, I will answer your question. We really don't know. We are leaving this to the market.
But it is clear, simple economics. There is abundant supplies, there's excess supplies, which is why prices are going down. Doesn't that warrant a supply cut?
No. This non-OPEC supply, which is very high cost, if the price is low, they will cut their production.
So you're saying OPEC's decision has nothing to do with the price of oil continuing to tumble down?
No. OPEC decision was trying to balance the market because we have a very high cost non-OPEC supply which is costing very much. That OPEC supply which costs too much must go out of the market.